So in this video, I'm going to cover how to create a basic HTML page using Dreamweaver. I have Dreamweaver 2018 here, and if you have a different version of Dreamweaver, the differences may be small, but the general procedure is exactly the same. So in this page we're going to create today, I will cover the use of headings, paragraphs, lists, and links in HTML. So let's get started. I'm going to begin by creating a new HTML page. So I can create a new HTML page by clicking Create New here, or I can go up to File, New. Both will take me to the same exact option. So I'm going to click on File, New, and choose HTML, and then click Create. So this is my new HTML file. Up on the top here is what this page will look like in the browser, which right now it'll look like a blank white page. And at the bottom here you see the HTML code that lies beneath. So let me take a moment and give you an overview of this HTML code. You'll see that HTML is written line by line, and it has these elements enclosed in angular brackets. Each of these is called a tag. Okay, so as you can see, there is an HTML tag at the beginning, and at the end of the page there is a /HTML tag. So tags often come in pairs, not always. This tag comes in pairs. The first tag is the opening, and the one with the slash is the closing. So everything contained within HTML and /HTML is your entire HTML page. Within that, I have two major areas. One is head, and of course /head, and then there's body /body. So an HTML page has a head and a body. The body contains most of the visible content that will show up in the browser, whereas the head contains mostly invisible content that helps the web browser to interpret the web page better. There is only one thing in the head that will be visible to your site visitors, and I'll go over that in a minute. But first I want to save this page. So I'm going to click Save. Right now it's untitled. So I'm saving this in my site files folder. You had set up your site files in the previous video. And I'm going to call this one basic_HTML_ my name. So you can put your name here, my first name. I'm using underscores here because it's not a good habit to have spaces in the name of your HTML file. They may not always work well. So where you want to break apart your words in your file name, it's better to use an underscore. So you can call yours basic_HTML_ whatever your first name is, and then save that. So my file is saved. If I look on the right side, under my Files tab, I can see that my file has appeared, basic_HTML_ So now that my page is saved, let's dig in and start creating it. Now earlier I mentioned that there's only one thing in the head of the page that your site visitors will see. Now if you look in this code, there's something called title, and right now it says untitled document. When someone sees this page in their browser, here's what they will see. So I'm in my site files folder. Here's the HTML page that I just created. I'm going to open it with Google Chrome to show you what it looks like. So the body of the page is blank because I have not added anything to the page body yet. But look up here. In the tab or the title bar of my browser, I see Untitled Document. So that's where the title shows up. This title inside the head of the page. So I'm going to change this title to something. I could change it right here in the code, but there is another way to do this. I'm going to open up the Properties window in Dreamweaver. The Properties window is extremely useful, and it's going to show you the different options that you can set for whatever it is that you're working with. Later on in this video, we'll be working with headings and paragraphs and lists. Right now we just have a blank page, so the only property that shows up is the title. I'm going to change this. So you can see the title updated in the code. I'm going to save this file. I go back to Chrome and reload it. And you see that the title changed up here. Now we're ready to begin creating the body of the page. So there's two ways to create this. I can work in the top part of my window, or I can work in the bottom part. The top part right now is showing me what the browser would see. Up here at the top of Dreamweaver, you can see there's different views. There's code view, which only shows me the coding window. There's a split view, which shows me both the live preview and the coding window. And then there's the third option, which is right now set to live. Live shows you what the browser would see, but there's another option to live, which is design. In design view, you can click and start typing and creating your page body just like you were formatting and creating a Word document, except that Dreamweaver is writing the HTML for you. So I'm going to go back to split view and show you what that means. As you can see, I'm in design view at the top and code view at the bottom. So I'm going to go in here and start typing something. This is going to be the heading, the first heading of my page. And I'll keep it simple. It's basically the same as the title that I just said. So there's my heading. I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see that I typed it here, but it shows up in here, and it shows up between P tags. P stands for paragraph. So by default, anything that I start typing here, and when I hit enter, Dreamweaver makes it into a paragraph. We'll look into paragraphs in a bit, but right now I want this guy to look like a heading. So how do I change this? I'm going to go back to my friend, the Properties Inspector. Now look, I open up the Properties Inspector, I click in this paragraph, and I see a lot more properties now than I did before. I see that the format is a paragraph. We'll look into class and ID in the next few weeks when we get into CSS styles. But these look familiar, right? Just like you're working with Microsoft Word, you can make things bold, italics, bulleted lists, numbered lists, and so on. Right now, I want to change this paragraph into a heading. So I click anywhere in the paragraph, come down to Format, and look at all the different kinds of headings that I can choose. Heading 1 is the biggest, heading 2 is a little smaller, heading 3 is even smaller, and so on and so forth. So you can structure a long document or long article into different levels of headings and subheadings. I'm going to change this to heading 1, see what happens. It becomes really big and bold here. Let's see what happened in the code. Here, where I have had P and /P tags, Dreamweaver has now changed it to H1 and /H1. That means this is a level 1 heading, or the largest heading that we can possibly have. Alright, so I'm going to add a subheading below this. I just put my cursor at the end of the heading, hit enter, Dreamweaver starts a new paragraph, and now I'm going to type my subheading. I'm just describing what this page is about. That's my subheading. I'm going to click in here, open Properties again, and change this from paragraph to heading 2. So this is what heading 2 looks like. Let's say if I were to make it heading 3, it would be a little smaller. You can choose what you want it to be. I wouldn't go any smaller because it just the balance between the two doesn't look good. So I'm going to leave it at heading 3. You could also choose heading 2. That's perfectly fine. So we've seen how to create headings. At the end of a heading or any element, when you hit enter on your keyboard, Dreamweaver starts a new element, and that's always a paragraph. You can see in my code, that's an empty paragraph. What you see inside here is basically a code for a space. That's a space. That means this paragraph is basically empty. So I'm going to go into this paragraph and type a little something. I want you to do the same. I want you to write this paragraph really short about, why do you want to learn web design? What inspires you? So I have just finished typing my paragraph. Keep it simple. Just keep it from you. Just what do you truly think about this? And just write a couple of lines on that. I'm not expecting a lot, just so we can have a paragraph to have on the page. And then hit enter, and then Dreamweaver will start a new paragraph. So as you can see, we're starting to create a nice flow for our web page, starting with a heading, a subheading, a paragraph. This is how you can format text so that people have an easier time to read. Instead of giving just a blob of text on your web page, the use of headings and subheadings along with the paragraphs, and also adding paragraph breaks if you have a lot of text, will really help your site visitors to actually read your text. Because if you don't format it well, they're not going to read it. People don't like to read these days. You know it yourself. You probably don't either, especially reading on a computer screen. So this is the simplest way that you can make your text a little easier to read. In future videos, I will be showing you how to make the text and the fonts and the colors look even better. That's when we get into using style sheets. But right now with basic HTML, this is what we can do to make the text easier to read. Another thing that we can do is create lists. So I'm going to create a list right now, and you'll do the same on your page. I'm going to create a list of some of my favorite websites. This line will probably be another sort of a heading. Maybe I'll keep it H4, heading 4, which is smaller than a heading 3. And now I'm going to start a list. There are two kinds of lists that you can create in HTML. One is called an unordered list, but that's basically a bulleted list from which you've probably done many times in Microsoft Word or things like that. The second one is called an ordered list, which is basically a numbered list. So unordered means it doesn't have numbers, and ordered means it has numbers. So I'm going to start typing and then create a bulleted list. So some of my favorite websites are google.com for its simplicity. Now here I've typed the first part of my list. So how do I make this into a bulleted list? So type your first item, then go back to properties. Maybe I should just leave this open because we keep going to properties all the time. And here's what we do. My cursor is in here in my first list item. I'm simply going to go over here where it says unordered list and click it. So it changed into a bullet. Now when I hit enter, instead of starting a new paragraph, it'll start a new bullet. So I have 3 websites. Now when I hit enter, it's going to start a new bullet, but I'm not adding any more items to my list. So I'll just hit enter again, and Dreamweaver understands that I finished my list, and it'll just start a new empty paragraph. Now here's where it gets fun. I'm going to take each of these words and link them to the actual website. Before that, I'm going to save my page. So now is a good time to save yours. And let's say I want to take this word, these words, google.com, and link them to the actual Google website. So to link text in Dreamweaver, again we use our friend, the Properties window. So to link text, you can select the text, and then down here in the Properties window where it says Link, you're going to type the actual link where this will go to when somebody clicks on it. Now here's where we have to be careful. If I were to just type google.com here and hit enter, Dreamweaver thinks we made a link. Now is it a working link or not? Let's check. I'm going to save this file. I'm going to go and refresh it here. So I have my headings, paragraph, and my first list, and my first link to google.com. Now here's what happens when I click this. It says your file was not found. Why is that? That's because this is not a complete link to google.com. Let me show you. I don't have the HTTP part. That's why the link didn't work. So I'm going to copy this link, the actual link from Google, go back to Dreamweaver, and inside this part where it says link, inside this part I'm going to clear it out and then paste the whole link and hit enter. So this is the complete link that starts with https://www. and so on. Let's save the file and now let's try it. I go back to my page. I'm going to refresh it. And now I'm going to click on this link where it says google.com, and that worked. So be careful when you're linking. This is just to show you that the link has to be complete, has to be the whole link. So the best thing to do is go to the website that you're linking to in your browser and then copy the link from the browser and then paste it in Dreamweaver. So I'm going to do the same for the next two sites. So when you're pasting a link in Dreamweaver, you have to select all the text that you want to be included in that link and then paste the link. Okay, so that's how we add links in Dreamweaver. I'm going to save the file again. I'm going to reload it here and then test it out. So this is how the whole web is built. It's essentially a bunch of web pages sitting in different locations that are linked to each other. So now you've learned how to link pages to other pages or other websites. And this really forms. Cool, huh? Our next thing is going to be a numbered list. A list of your favorite places on your island to get either shave ice or a bubble tea. Okay? So we're going to add a list here. So you choose. You're going to do, I'm going to do shave ice. If you want to do bubble tea, you can do that. And then let me know what island you're on. Now here I'm going to add a numbered list. So I'm going to type the first place. And then in my properties window, I'm going to choose ordered list. So you see an ordered list has numbers, an unordered list has bullets. And then just go ahead and type all your places that you want to list. Okay, so there's my ordered list. Again, I'm done with these three, so when I hit enter and Dreamweaver adds the fourth one, I just hit enter again, and that's done. So this is your ordered list or numbered list. What I want you to do for this list is for each of these places, I want you to go and find their website. And if they don't have a website, I want you to find their page on Yelp if they have one, and then link their names to those pages. All right? So once again, when you find their page, you just copy it, come back here, select the text you want to link, go to Properties and paste it. And you do the same for the other places. Now here I just want to link these 3 words, so I'll just select these 3 words and paste the link. And there you have it. My basic HTML page is done. In a short time we've covered headings of different kinds. That reminds me, I gotta make this into a heading 4. Okay, so we've covered headings, paragraphs, lists of 2 different kinds, and links. So I'm going to save this page, and in the next video I will show you how to upload it to the web.